What's up, everybody? It's Bobby from Bobby's Big Board once again, and today I'm giving you 5 cheap veteran players who could be absolute league winners in 2025. If you're in win now mode, these are the guys you need to target before their value spikes mid-season. Let's get right into it. All right, so kicking things off at number 5 here, we've got Tyreek Hill for the Dolphins. And if you look at his dynasty value, I mean, it is in the dirt right now. Everybody on the Dolphins last year struggled with Tua being out, and just overall the offense just really wasn't clicking last year like it has in years past. And with Tyreek Hill, I mean, he's still a phenomenal talent. He's still super fast. You've seen him have some big games last year as well. But people are just saying he's 31 years old. He's coming off of a down year. Yet he was still the wide receiver 18, despite having one of the worst offensive situations last year with Brett Huntley and Skylar Thompson throwing him the football for the majority of the year. He's still a very talented player, and with what you can get him for right now, it's absolutely criminal. So looking at some trades that were made for Tyreek Hill over the past few days, I looked at the Keep Trade Cut trade database, and man, some of these trades are wild. So you can get Tyreek Hill for the 204 this year, and I'm going to guarantee you, unless you're getting somebody like maybe Jack Besh or like someone like that, maybe like a Caleb Johnson or something, if he falls to the 204, then maybe like you're getting a guy that can match some production, but not from an upside. I think Tyreek Hill has much better upside than both of those players as of right now, and I would probably much rather have the Tyreek Hill side if you're wanting to win now. That's what this video is for, guys. If you are in a win now predicament, you got a bunch of aging players on your team and you have a strong roster that you think can contend this next season, Tyreek Hill is probably one of the best value buys out there. Now, obviously, maybe some of these trades you can't get done right now because it all depends on who the owner of Tyreek Hill is in your league. If they're a weaker team and they're trying to move off assets, then you can definitely get him for something like the 204. Or if he's more of a contending team, he's probably going to be a little bit more expensive. But I still think you can buy him from those contending teams at a good value right now. So next up, you have Tyreek Hill for Jalen McMillan in a late third. A late third's not going to be doing much of anything for you guys, unfortunately, and Jalen McMillan just got replaced in the draft. I think he's more of a depth slot option now with Emeka Egbuka coming in, taking his job almost certainly. So I'd probably rather Tyreek Hill here. I don't think McMillan will be fantasy relevant this year. And the 311, whoever you get there, unless somebody falls way too far, like a Kyle Williams or something, I don't think that you will have a fantasy relevant player there either. The next up, this is the most expensive in terms of what you're giving up for Tyreek Hill. You give up a 2026 first. I'll say if you think your 2026 first is a late first, which should be the case because you shouldn't be trading for Tyreek Hill unless you're contending this year, I think that's fine. I think a late first for a guy that can finish as a top 12 wide receiver for, the next year or two, I think that's a fair trade. If he can win you a championship, just last season in 2023 when he had that monster year, he was the wide receiver 2, I believe. People were giving up first for him with no issue at all. Now, since he's coming off of a down year because of the whole offense was on a down year, we suddenly think Tyreek Hill is washed, and I really don't think that's the case. So I'd probably lean Tyreek Hill if that's going to be considered a late 2026 first. The 2026 class isn't really shaping up to be much of anything right now. Obviously, there will be some guys that come in and, look good later on during the college football season, but as of right now, I'd rather the Tyreek Hill pick instead of the pick here. Next up, you have Tyreek Hill in the 2027 second for Keon Coleman. I wouldn't give up a 2027 second round pick right now for Keon Coleman, in all honesty. So you're getting basically a free Tyreek Hill out of this. Keon looked decent at times, but I don't know on the talent of him, and the Bills aren't really throwing the ball down the field. I feel like Keon Coleman's going to be kind of like a sacrificial X, unfortunately, but he definitely has a great quarterback around him, a solid offensive coach as well. So we'll see what Keon Coleman does in the future. But for now, give me Tyreek Hill. So all in all, he's one of the cheapest options out there to give you like some elite wide receiver upside from a week-to-week basis. So definitely go out there and grab you some Tyreek Hill shares while you can. Next up at number 4, it's kind of an obvious one, guys. You got Derrick Henry for the Ravens. Absolute monster season last year, considering he doesn't really catch passes like that. He's just your traditional 3-down runner. If it's 3rd and long, they have Justice Hill out there. So, and then in 2-minute situations, they have Justice Hill out there. But considering that, he still rushed for over 1,900 yards and a bunch of touchdowns last year, and was kind of utilized in the passing game more than he's been in years past. So that's interesting, but the problem is 31 years old. But I think Derrick Henry is an outlier here just because last season, everybody said the same thing about him. He's 30 years old, 30-year-old running backs just fall off a cliff, and he's had one of his best seasons. He had like a top 3 season of all time for him, in his career. So beautiful season by him. He shows no signs of slowing down. He looked faster than ever last year, in my opinion. He's in a great offensive system where they really lean on him. I mean, they let him carry the ball a ton of times last year. So yeah, his value's up a little bit, but you're going to be surprised what you can get Derrick Henry for if you're a contending team. All right, so looking at some of the recent trades made for Derrick Henry, use the same Keep Trade Cut Trade database. So Derrick Henry straight up for the 111. If that 111 ends up being RJ Harvey, it's kind of a harder situation, but obviously I do think Derrick Henry is going to give you more production than RJ Harvey does year 1. So if you're a contending team, like I said, Derrick Henry is a smash here for a late first, in my opinion. Same thing with the 2026 picks, specifically 2026 picks. If it's considered a late first, I would have no problems giving up a late first for Derrick Henry because, like I said, he takes care of his body really well. He's spending like an astronomical amount of money on his health and body every single year so he can hold up, which kind of shows you like he's 31, but he looks faster than ever. So I think he can play till 34, 35, kind of like a Frank Gore. I don't know how many years of elite upside he has, but he'll definitely be a fantasy relevant running back for at least the next 3-4 years, in my opinion, if he decides to play that long. So next up, you have Derrick Henry for 2 second-round picks. This is even better than the 111 price, in my opinion, because they're both 2026 picks. So yeah, I would much rather have Derrick Henry here because, like I said, the 2026 class is not shaping up to be a good one as of right now. That could change in the future, but we'll see. Next up, you have Derrick Henry for a 2026 third and Anthony Richardson. I'm going to tell you guys right now, Anthony Richardson I have in 2 or 3 leagues right now, and I can't ship him off for a second-round pick. Nobody wants him for a second-round pick. So I don't even know if Anthony Richardson's second-round value right now because people just are really scared that he's not even going to win the starting job next year, or this coming season. So with Anthony Richardson, I mean, he could be out of the league in 2 years, in all honesty. We don't know. That could be a fairly accurate statement. Like, he could be out of the league in 2 years, but if he figures it out, like I said, guys, he can win you your league. But it's unlikely because, he is just not ready in terms of a passer. He's got some rushing upside, but obviously I'd much rather the floor with Derrick Henry than Anthony Richardson for sure. And that 2026 third's not a needle mover here for me. So Derrick Henry all the way here. Last up, I know this is going to be a little bit of a controversial one, and I have my controversial takes here and there. Derrick Henry straight up for Kenneth Walker III. I'm going to be honest. Hate me if you want. I think Derrick Henry will be fantasy relevant longer, at this point, longer than Kenneth Walker will be. A few reasons. Kenneth Walker, one, is very injury prone. has just, super talented running back, but he just can't stay healthy for an entire season. And with him missing like half the year last year, yeah, he looked really good while he played, but Zach Charbonnet came in and really turned it up last season. So I think they might be splitting carries next year, especially with the draft capital that they gave for Charbonnet. So we'll see. Walker, with his durability concerns and usage right now, I think Derrick Henry will be fantasy relevant longer than KW9 will. So we'll see. I would rather Derrick Henry here, especially if I'm contending, just because Kenneth Walker, I think you can get more value for Kenneth Walker. In all honesty, I think you get Derrick Henry in like a late second for KW9, but we'll see. But yeah, I'd rather Derrick Henry here in all honesty. So all in all, I mean, you're giving up a couple second round worth of values for Derrick Henry, a guy that can absolutely win you your league. That is a no-brainer for me. So next up, it's a little bit of a risky one. You got Christian McCaffrey for the 49ers. Now, if you look at his dynasty value from a year ago to now, it's a big-time drop-off. He was coming off his running back one season in 2023, absolutely just smashed it. I mean, just broke fantasy in 2023. And this past year, had an injury problem that kind of lingered in through pretty much over half the season. And then he came in late during the season and he had a minor injury. And the 49ers at that point were already out of the playoffs. So the 49ers were like, there's no sense in risking his health any more than we already have. We'll just take him out for the rest of the year, preserve him, keep him healthy, and bring him back in 2025 as 100% healthy. Christian McCaffrey, guys, has had the injury-prone label since like 2018. I mean, this is not a new thing with Christian McCaffrey. We knew he was injury-prone all the way back then. Now, he's 29 years old now, about to be 29. And now people are just like, nope, completely out on him. He had a rough year, riddled with injuries. The 49ers decided to keep him, preserve him, keep him 100% healthy. He's going to be pretty much 100% next season. And if he holds up, you're talking top 10 running back easily in fantasy next year. So you're about to see what you can get him for, and it's kind of criminal as well. So looking at some recent trades for Christian McCaffrey, let's just go into the first one. Christian McCaffrey for a late second, late third, early fourth, and late fourth. Guys, come on now. I mean, we forget that Christian McCaffrey is an elite RB1 when healthy. I don't understand this at all. Give me Christian McCaffrey over a bunch of trash picks. Yeah, give me him over the trash picks 100%. I don't even know if I have to talk about that one very much. Christian McCaffrey for the 204. So if there's a guy like RJ Harvey or Caleb Johnson here, maybe you think about taking this if you're a CMC owner. With CMC, he has more upside than both of them. Arguably with RJ Harvey could be an absolute monster in fantasy. We just haven't seen that yet. We know what Christian McCaffrey can do. So I would much rather Christian McCaffrey if I'm contending. Obviously, if I'm rebuilding, I think this is a fair price for Christian McCaffrey. So if you are looking around in your leagues and you see any of these players on bad teams, I think you can ship any of these offers and they will be considered. So for sure, give me Christian McCaffrey for the 204 all day. Next up, we have Christian McCaffrey for Dontavian Wicks, a late second and a late third. Dontavian Wicks is just not it for me anymore. I don't really like any of the Packers wide receivers over the past couple years. They just spread that ball around way too much, and I don't think Wicks will be fantasy relevant next year. And then the late second and the late third, like I talked about before, they're relatively trash picks. So give me Christian McCaffrey. I mean, he's the best asset in the deal, so yeah, I'd much rather that. Last up, it's a little bit of an edge case, but Christian McCaffrey for Brian Robinson Jr. and Tony Pollard. I think Tony Pollard can be a mid to low end RB2 next year, and Brian Robinson, I don't know where he ends up being. I think he's just like a short yardage goal line guy that, I mean, can't hold up on a bunch of carries, so maybe he's even worse than Pollard in all honesty. So yeah, give me Christian McCaffrey over the two low-end RB2s. Yeah, they're younger than McCaffrey, but I would much rather have Christian McCaffrey here over the two guys that I wouldn't even feel good starting on a week-to-week basis unless the matchup was really good. So yeah, I mean, look at this value, guys. It's absolutely nuts for a guy that literally won fantasy leagues by himself in 2023, not that long ago. And he's coming back 100% healthy, ready to go, and he's going to smash it next year if he stays on the field. Next up is a guy that I'm not seeing a lot of people talk about at number 2. It's Chris Godwin for the Buccaneers. Guys, before he got hurt last year when he dislocated his ankle, he was the wide receiver 1 overall with Mike Evans healthy. He was the wide receiver 1 overall. And I think he was the wide receiver 1 like even a week after he got hurt, which is insane. He was over guys like Malik Neighbors, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, like Jamar Chase even, who I know started a little slow last year. But Chris Godwin, and with a dislocated ankle, I don't think that's a big-time injury for wide receivers either. His value is in the dirt still, and he's not even 30 yet. He won't be 30 this next season either. And he showed you just last season that he has the juice to be a wide receiver 1 in fantasy. So let's go ahead and show you guys what you can get him for. So looking at some recent trades for Chris Godwin, you got Chris Godwin straight up for a late second, the 209. I mean, depends on who's there, I guess, if you're, rebuilding, but I'd rather Chris Godwin, I think. And, Chris Godwin's on these middling to low-end squads a lot of the time because, obviously last year, if you had Chris Godwin on your fantasy team, you were cooking the first half of the year, and then he probably hurt you when he went down. So he's probably on a lot of these mid-tier teams that probably are comfortable moving on from him. And with the 209, I mean, that's enticing for a Chris Godwin owner and for a guy that I think can come back out there and really be a strong guy for Baker Mayfield next year. They did lose their offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen, because he took the head coaching job of the Jaguars, but I think Baker is just really good at targeting his wide receivers, and I think he will make Mike Evans, Emeka Egbuka, and Godwin all relatively relevant. So, yeah, give me Chris Godwin over a late second here. Then next up, you have Chris Godwin straight up for Isaiah Likely. I'm not too big on Likely, you guys. I'm really not. He's fine. I think he's a fine, mid tight end too, in all honesty. He has some athleticism too, but he's on a team that doesn't really throw that much, and they already have, Mark Andrews right now for at least another year or two. So, yeah, I'd rather Chris Godwin, especially if I'm contending. Then next up, you have Chris Godwin and Tyrone Tracy for Joe Mixon. I'll be honest, guys, I would probably give up Joe Mixon straight up for Chris Godwin in all honesty. But you get Tyrone Tracy, who I'm not really big on, guys. I think he'll be a third down back next year with Cam Scatterbo getting all of the volume by mid-season probably. So yeah, give me Chris Godwin. You're basically picking up a free Tyrone Tracy. Maybe there's some upside there if Scatterbo goes down or ends up being underwhelming, which I don't really see. And then last up, we have Chris Godwin, a third rounder in 2026, a mid third in 2025, and a late third in 2025 for Jawan Jennings, Jacoby Myers, and Jalen Wright. This one's interesting because Jalen Wright is probably the RB2 now, behind A-Chain, who, is a little injury prone here and there and was a little underwhelming last year when running the ball. Obviously, the Dolphins' offensive line in terms of run blocking was horrible last year. Then you have Jacoby Myers, who I think is a solid low-end wide receiver 2, maybe, especially with Besh there now, and they're going to run the ball a bunch with Genty. I'm not really into having Jacoby Myers as a consistent starter for me. And then Jawan Jennings, people are saying he's going to be the wide receiver 1 in that offense. I think they're going to have the wide receiver 1 be their first round pick last year and Ricky Pearsall. And they also have Brandon Ayuk still, so we'll see. I think he's the 3rd option in that offense, 4th option, honestly, behind George Kittle. He had everyone banged up last year except for him in that receiving room, and he still was like, okay. He didn't go for over 1,000 yards and just really didn't do much for me with nobody there. So, yeah, I'd much rather have the pick side here. I think, Jacoby's worth around a late second maybe. Jawan Jennings, the same thing. And Jalen Wright, maybe. So you're talking about 3 late seconds, but you're getting 3/3 back and Chris Godwin. It's close, but if you're contending, I think Chris Godwin will finish the best next year as a receiver. That would be what my bet is on. So all in all, pretty good trades for Chris Godwin here. So, I mean, like I said, his value is absolutely in the dirt. You can probably pick him up for a late second. Last up, we have Stefon Diggs for the Patriots. And there's a few concerns here with me. He's 31 years old. He's going to a new system who were very bad last year. He's coming off of an ACL tear as well. So there's a lot of question marks with Stefon Diggs. But I think his value is so low right now. It's basically nothing. That you can probably pick him up for like a 3rd or a 4th round pick. And he has Drake May at quarterback, right? Who is, in my opinion, a very solid quarterback with, they have Kyle Williams there. But I think Stefon Diggs will be the wide receiver 1 in that offense next year. And with what he's shown us in the past to be a top 10 wide receiver, yeah, he's coming off that ACL tear, but I think he'll still offer us some solid wide receiver 2 production if everything breaks right for him. So, yeah, let's go show you exactly what he's going for right now. Looking at some trades made for Stefon Diggs here recently, we're looking at Stefon Diggs straight up for Shedeur Sanders, guys. That's absolutely ridiculous in my opinion. You guys know I'm not too big on Shedeur Sanders. I think he's probably going to go anywhere from the late 3rd to early 4th in your rookie drafts. If he's going anywhere earlier than that, I mean, it's just speculation on you think he's the best quarterback there, which I don't think he is. But regardless, I think Shedeur Sanders just start a couple games this season, but I think he's definitely going to struggle because of that pocket issue that he has, and he even showed it in rookie minicamp. You don't get any pressure, right? At rookie minicamp, so he was able to just drift back in the pocket and throw dimes, which, like I said, he's very accurate, but I'd much rather Stefon Diggs here because I know he will produce next year if he stays healthy and is back to 100% like we think he is. Next up, we have Stefon Diggs for a late 3rd and a late 4th. Yeah, I mean, guys, Stefon Diggs has proven that he can do it at the highest of levels just recently as 2 seasons ago. Give me Stefon Diggs instead of the 2 late picks. Stefon Diggs straight up for Jaden Blue. Out of all the running back prospects I scouted, which there was like 60 of them total, he was the lowest on my board in terms of overall talent level. He just didn't really offer me a lot in terms of the vision. He's fast. He is fast, but, it didn't really offer much in terms of agility either. Some okay contact balance. Very poor receiver out of the backfield. I mean, lost a lot of plays for Texas due to drops there. So, give me Stefon Diggs. I know Jaden Blue has a lot of opportunity because that backfield in Dallas is so poor. But I'd much rather Stefon Diggs because I know he'll probably be at worst a wide receiver 2 if he stays healthy. And Jaden Blue, who knows if he even gets on the field. So, last up, Stefon Diggs for 2 4th round picks. Same as the 3rd and the 4th, but even better. Like I said, his value is in the dirt right now. And if you want a guy that's been proven in years past to be a wide receiver high-end wide receiver 2, go grab Stefon Diggs while the value is still there. That's my list of 5 win now veterans you can steal in Dynasty right now. Let me know in the comments who your favorite buy low vet is, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and join the Bobby's Big Board Discord to talk Dynasty all offseason long. Link is in the description. And last but not least, guys, thank you always for watching.